Hello out there. Welcome everybody to our second session here as part of the Deep Point of View Challenge. Very excited to have you all here for another installment to dive into this exciting topic and to update you on the challenge. Super exciting. Uh I love writing in deep point of view. I love talking about deep point of view. We're going to talk about it some more today. If you have not signed up for this challenge yet, please click this link. Yes, it is free to join us for the challenge. So don't feel like there's any cost involved. You can get involved, and we'll even give you some really cool tools to benefit you in the challenge. And some of that I'm going to talk about today. So, very exciting. Of course, if you like and subscribe, hit the bell, all the typical stuff for our challenge. You will get continual updates. You'll get continual updates of videos and things like that. So, yes, go ahead, sign up now. Join for free. It's really fun. If you do so, you will be eligible for prizes. Of course, there are prizes for participating and for actually submitting and winning in the challenge, but there's also prizes for uh, just being involved as well. Now, my browser was kind of flaking out there, so hopefully I didn't stall out on you. If I did, though, let me know. I think everything is going all right on my side here. All right. So, what is deep point of view? Just in case you're just now joining us here, you're asking me, do I have a cold? It's allergy season, but no, I don't have a cold. Do I sound a little deeper? Do I have a nice, what is it, dulcet tone? I actually kind of prefer my voice a little congested, so maybe that's it. Yep, it's allergies. Yep, I'm on some allergy drugs right now. Yeah, a little nasal. Yeah. No worries. I appreciate that. It means you pay attention to my voice. I don't know why you would, but it is what it is. Anyway, deep point of view. Getting back to that. Getting back to the topic at hand. The idea is to immerse the audience in a character perspective. We find that very engaging. After all, the number one way that people connect to a work is through the character. It is the narrative approach that really makes novels work. So, reason why even nonfiction will often use it, right? How often do we read articles in the newspaper that are written from a narrative point of view? How often do politicians actually take on a personification of an issue, right? And they'll try to put you into the mindset of somebody who will be impacted. Again, this is all because this is a highly effective way of reaching the audience. So it is important to know it, it's important to master it, and that's why we're challenging you to use it in this challenge. And I really do recommend, for the purposes of this challenge, to try to take as purist of an attitude as possible. When it comes to general writing, you might kind of split the difference, because in a true deep point of view, you should never include information that the character wouldn't know. You shouldn't be describing things in a way that a character wouldn't. You just should never do any of that. However, people will cheat that when they're actually writing a narrative because they want to foreshadow, because they want to bring up something that's important. And yeah, the main character probably wouldn't notice it in that moment, but you need to notice it as the audience or something like that. So there is hedging that tends to happen. And that's fine. But for the purposes of the challenge, I'm going to task you not to do that. You want to be meticulous. Really think of the character that you have created. And we're going to create some characters today with the story builder, and it'll be fun. And we'll do some brainstorming, and we'll talk about how that would affect their point of view of the situation. Yes, you only know what your viewpoint character knows. This is really the standard, straightforward core value of writing in a deep point of view. However, of course, when you actually put the words on the page, it gets more complicated than that. So the rules of the challenge, just to reiterate for everybody, the rules are 1,000 words. you're not to go over that. You do not have to write up to 1,000 words, but do not go over 1,000 words. I know that's a challenge in of itself, but just keep that in mind for the purposes of this challenge. You do not have to make some sort of grandiose, high stakes situation that would require a lot of words to pull off. And if you're writing in a deep point of view, we're going to get immersed in the viewpoint very quickly. That's the whole point. So we should learn a lot just by the way you're describing things. Okay. The deadline is going to be March 24th. It's going to be at 11:59 p.m. Eastern, so practically the 25th, but do keep in mind the 24th. So you can go ahead and get started writing on it now. Continue to polish as we give you these tips and tricks throughout this month. The writing prompt. Remember, you can make the writing prompt in an abstract way. It's fine. You do not have to. You don't have to take it just completely straightforward. All right. You can mess with it, play around with it a little bit. Okay. So you need to write from the perspective of a. All right. Somebody is taking something. Somebody is robbing somebody of something. What is it? Does it have to be a tangible item? Well, I said you could take it abstract, so maybe it's not. Maybe there's something that they can take that is not actually something physical or tangible. Keep that in mind. But you are writing from the perspective of a thief. The thief feels morally justified in what they're taking. Although, if you want, you can add that there's a little bit of a struggle because they are, in fact, taking it. And again, what that actually means is up to you to interpret. I just wanted to give you something to go off of so I wouldn't be like, write a deep point of view. Like, that's not, that's not a lot to go on. I wanted to give it some specificity. Yes, it feels morally justified in what they're taking. All right. Some tools that should help you with the specificity as well. Now, I'm going to go into the writer's desk and I am going to look at getting inspiration. I want to try to figure out, like, let's go beyond that point. I'm not sure who you're writing about, what kind of thief they are. You don't necessarily have to reveal, after all, it is a competition. But if I were to do this, I would be brainstorming what type of thief that is. And I would want to try to think outside the box. Now, if you're an AutoCrit Pro member, you can go into the story builder and you can do just that. And so I wanted to do that. And I wanted to show you, and I also wanted to just use it as a way to brainstorm right here in real time and come up with some different suggestions. So I put in the story premise. A thief feels morally justified in taking something, and in the parenthetical, keep in mind it doesn't have to be a tangible item. All right, so that being said, I'm curious if I go into the writer's desk here and scroll down what kind of character I might come up with. So let's go ahead and run that generation for the protagonist. They'll give me something to riff off. So I have, in the bustling city of Lysandria, a skilled pickpocket named Remy seeks to uncover the truth behind his father's mysterious disappearance, believing it holds the key to his own identity and place in society. Driven by an insatiable curiosity and a deep sense of justice, Remy navigates the intricacies of the criminal underworld while wrestling with his ethics as he delves into forbidden secrets. Okay, so you have a pickpocket who's trying to find out about his father's disappearance. That's an interesting motivation. It's an interesting motivation why people would be stealing items. I'm not exactly sure, though, how to link a pickpocket to somebody trying to find out the secret to his father. So, what I would say is it would be somebody that is good at that, right? And then they find out that their father disappears, and then they have the potential information that somebody's involved in their father's disappearance. And I would write a specific scene about them finding a mark and trying to get some information off of them. And they have good reason to want to take it. One reason why somebody might want to take somebody and feel morally justified, obviously, is if the other character has done something immoral, like kidnapping somebody, right? And so that would be very interesting. Or maybe they haven't kidnapped, but they have awareness or things like that. Oh, somebody was asking, how did I do this? Well, I'm going to show you. I went up at the top, and at the top, I put a story premise. So the story premise was a thief feels morally justified in taking something. Keep in mind, it doesn't have to be a tangible item. That's my premise because that was my prompt, right? And then I went down and I scrolled down, or you can hit the button for character building, and I just hit the button for a protagonist. Let's do it again. Let's try something else. In a world where memories can be stolen and sold, Nova is determined to take back what was wrongfully taken from her, the memory of her father's laugh. Desperate for closure, she becomes a skilled thief in the underground market. I like that. So again, you could have a scene where somebody, in this case, is not taking a tangible item. They're taking a memory, and the memory was stolen from them in the underground market. I think that's a pretty cool world buildy sort of thing. And so if I was going to do this sort of story, well, the point of view would be really helpful because you would have a character that navigates this and this is their everyday situation. And so they would be just talking in a matter of fact way about what's going on. And I would just immediately be thrust into the deep end and I would be trying to figure out all of the world building stuff without some sort of expository statement, right? They would be, how do you take memories? I don't know. Maybe they have some sort of device. Maybe it's kind of like a what do they call it? The drop, the with like Apple phones. I can't remember. But where you like you get close to them and you can airdrop. Yeah, like an airdrop. So maybe the idea is like they get close enough to the person and then they can start scanning memories, but like the other person might know and they might like want to block them and they have to like be covert about it and then they have to like sneak in and they have to, and all of this could be done from the standpoint of somebody who is familiar with all of this. So they would just be describing it in a matter of fact way. You wouldn't even know why they're like standing up somebody by somebody and pulling out a device, and what they're sifting through looks like memories, but you would be piecing all of this together as it goes. And that could create a really compelling mystery for the audience. You'd be like, what is this person even up to? Like, what are they trying to do? Right. And then ultimately, they start taking in, they're like, oh, I almost got it. And yeah, I like that idea though. Again, that's one reason why I want you to think abstract. Does not have to be a tangible item. It gives you a lot more options. All right, let's keep going. I want to try another protagonist here. And then, of course, in the bustling city of Metropolis, a skilled thief named Lena prowls the streets with a unique ethos. She only steals from corrupt politicians and dishonest businessmen, feeling morally justified in redistributing their ill-gotten gains. All right, so we got him basically a Robin Hood sort of situation. Yeah, that makes sense, right? Robbing from the rich to feed the poor or something like that. That would be another possibility, right? And then again, you could pick a specific moment where you have a character and they're sneaking into somebody's room or trying to break into their briefcase or something and trying to get money, or maybe not even money, maybe actually like bank account information or something, so that, well, I mean, that would be money, but like even more money, right? Information, secrets that they can sell and make even more money than that. All right. I'm enjoying this. I want to do another one. Then we'll move on. In the bustling city of Arcadia, a skilled thief harbors a burning desire to expose and dismantle the corrupt government. And that's pretty similar. Corrupt practices. I mean, mostly because I said they feel morally justified. It's probably going to mostly go to corrupt. But here's another one. Jamie is a skilled thief who has always struggled to make ends meet, determined to secure a better future for their younger sibling. And then it goes on to a government official. But yes, that's another reason. Survival, right? Survival would be a good reason. You go back to like Les Mis and uh, Jean Valjean steals a crust of bread in order to just not die, right? There are reasons why you might take something. It's survival. Uh, the other person maybe wouldn't even be all that badly off not to have it. They have more than you and they don't really deserve it, etc., etc. Lots of different options. But like I said, the important thing is when you thrust the audience into the scene, put them into the perspective of that character. You don't need to spend a lot of time setting it up. The nice thing about a I'm going to steal something scene is immediately we're thrust into action. We're thrust into the person planning the heist, or they're in the middle of a heist and the heist may be going well or not, right? I mean, the first sentence could literally be like, I thought the bank robbery was going to go great until blah, blah, blah. And that could be a fantastic hook, right? And they're just in the middle of the thick of things. Again, you have so many options. My goal with this broadcast was just to give you some suggestions in case you're getting a little bit stuck. Show the Inspiration Studio, which is a great tool if you want to tinker around with that. Does anybody have any questions, by the way, about the premise, about the story prompt, or anything of the like? Please let me know in the chat as I keep moving forward. Now, another item that we have at your disposal, another tool in your tool belt, and this applies to everybody, is that for the sake of the challenge, we have all given you access to a very powerful report inside AutoCrit, which is going to help you with deep point of view. This is a old book of mine, but the tool that we have for you is generic description report. Generic descriptions are not your friend if you're writing deep point of view. Let me switch back over to my presentation here. Yes, for deep point of view tips today, just use generic description because we're speaking in that kind of general way. You're not actually giving us the opportunity to experience the world the way that the character would. The character would describe it in a specific way. The and if you think about something like a dog, right? The dog is big, the dog is small, the dog is cute, the dog is good. Like a lot of these words don't give you a lot of information. W- Why would a character think a dog is big or small? Well, perhaps they would be comparing it to something else. If you start comparing it to something else, rather than just say big, it's like that dog was as big as my SUV or something. And obviously they're exaggerating. And then you have a sense of that, okay, that character is somebody that's prone to hyperbole. And they also have an SUV. You're getting two things done at once. Well, three things. The dog is big, the character uses hyperbole, and they own an SUV. That's a lot better than just saying the dog was large or or the dog was big. So keep in mind when you're doing those sort of descriptions, and there are certain words that are those more general words, and that's what's going to come up in the report, that you're robbing yourself of an opportunity to have the words on the page do more than just a simple description. And the simple description often doesn't give us that much information anyway. So let me show you some examples here. Something like a meal was good. Well, that's really vague. What do you mean by good? Sometimes people use good as kind of a weasel word, right? How was it? It was good. Is that excellent? Doesn't sound like it, right? Is that terrible? Maybe not. Maybe it's in the middle. But you don't have a lot to go on. The reason why I tend to use generic words like that is to mask a more precise meaning, which could be, it was all right. It's not my favorite thing, but I don't want to sound mean to the host. Or it was actually pretty terrible, but I don't want to sound mean to the host, right? Or I don't want to sound ungrateful or something like that. So when characters are speaking dialogue, yes, you do expect to have a fair amount of generic description. When we're in their head, no, because our general reactions are going to be more specific. We are going to think in the way that we uniquely think. We're not going to think in the same sort of way. uh Does the thief have to be successful with the heist? No, they do not. Bethany is saying the tools are locked for you. The story builder is only for AutoCrit Pro members. However, the generic description I'm about to talk about is available to you as part of the challenge. So let me show you uh, that tool. So you're going to go to word choice. So it's right there, fairly in the center. Let me drag over a little bit. I'm going to have to move a little bit in a second. And then you're going to hit generic descriptions. And then it's going to start running the report. And it will give you a list based on our generic description word list of how many times you're using that word. And then it's going to compare against whatever your author comparison is. Now, if you're part of this challenge, it will be generic general fiction. That will be the author comparison that you can make. So you can see I did a pretty good job in my example when I wrote this book back in the day. I have about the same, a little bit less than everybody else. But you will notice that I use look and looks and large more than it might have expected. Now, look is a word that commonly comes up because it's just a general verb and it can mean a lot. And I often task authors to think of different alternatives like glare, glance, leer, ogle, etc., right? Because look is a rather bland word. Um, good, you'll see here, also came up. It's about average, so it's not too bad. Nice, I have more. So, these would be things you want to look for. Often we'll have verbal tics, we'll have specific things that are we're affected by. That we love to use, but probably are not the benefit of the audience. The dog was large. That's another example, right? I was mentioning it earlier. Make a comparison because then you're telling the audience certain things that they would compare the animal to, perhaps if they're prone to exaggeration, etc., etc. Your goal in life is always to do more on the page, not less. Have the words really earn their spot. All right, so those are your tips for this week. Um, I'm really excited to see what everybody else has to say about that. Okay, here. Bethany, just hit the button in the lower right with the speech bubble and we'll figure something out. Don't worry about that. Talk to somebody in the tech support. Uh So we have a fantasy writing package because our fantasy course is actually beginning this evening, hosted by yours truly, Story Sorcery and the Quest to Write Stronger Fantasy. That's going to be uh, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern. It is a 4-week session. If you were to get the whole package, you would be able to get that plus Fantastical Creatures, which just concluded. And so you can get all of those replays for that. And then you can also get the world building workshop, which is going to begin on Sunday. And that's a whole workshop to deal with world building, as, as you might expect. So between all three, really great package, really great chance to dive deeper into the fantasy genre. Fantasy Sci-Fi Club. We have club sessions going on tonight, 7 p.m. We have a club session tomorrow at 6 p.m. We have the Accountability Club on Mondays at 11 a.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern. So much going on in the AutoCrit world for AutoCrit Pro members. And of course, you can always stay tuned to this channel. We'll continue to have updates throughout the D Point of View Challenge, and you can hit the like and the subscribe and the bell to hear out more about that. Just looking at some of these comments here. One general description was the word maybe, and you're saying, how is that general? It is a generic sort of word, right? Maybe it's a little bit abstract because if you say is it yes or no or is it maybe, it's a bit of an abstract word, and so You want to perhaps look out for it. That's probably going to be in your dialogue. Uh, and if it is, then that makes sense. Now, of course, there could be uncertainty, and that is another reason why you might use a more generic description word. But again, you want to be cautious of it. You don't want to have too much hedging, too much, is it this or that? Because that can make for blander writing and it doesn't get as specific. All right, just trying to keep up with the comments here. Yes, so just to rehash, 1,000 words needs to be about a thief. The thief needs to be more feel morally justified. We do want you to write in a deep point of view. I recommend using the generic descriptions report to minimize as many generic descriptions as possible, because that's going to make a much more effective story. And you really want to consider the fact that when you're writing in a deep point of view, the exposition should come organically because the person is just describing things as they see the world and it feels natural to them. And so they don't have to give you a lot of background information. If they see somebody and they have a close relationship with them, they're going to feel the warm and fuzzies, right? And they're just going to have that reaction. They're going to feel flush. They're going to, if somebody comes around and there's somebody that they're attracted to, they're going to immediately have that physiological response. You don't have to state outright, I'm in love with that person or that person's super hot or things like that. Instead, you often want to dramatize. You'd say, show, don't tell, dramatize, don't summarize. And since we're in their headspace, the way that they're going to describe that person walking by, they're not going to just say, they walked across my path. They're going to describe it, they firm steps if they're attracted to somebody with strength, soft steps if they're attracted to somebody who has a more relaxed kind of gait. Is there any way to smoothly express a rapidly changing situation, a deep point of view writing, other than approaching it such as all happens so fast and go into a list of events? Yes. Keep in mind that the actual rhythm of your sentences will do things like that. So, for example, or switching topics, right? But short sentences will feel choppy. I looked, there it was. Wait, but then, if you do quick little snippets, it will feel like that kind of choppiness. And so that is something to do purposefully. You don't want to create that breathlessness by accident, but it can be a very effective device if you want to give them that sort of uh jarring, like lots of things are going on at the same time. For sure. Somebody said I was missing a comment. Ah, here we go. How since it is from their point of view, they would not see themselves. Yes, this is a common issue. A common issue is that the main character cannot see themselves. So how do they talk about themselves? And the trope, which is not one to do, is look in a mirror. And the reason why is because, well, everybody figures out this problem, the easy solution, they look in the mirror. This is not great because generally speaking, people don't just randomly look in mirrors, but it's also just one of those cliches. So no, I don't recommend that. Recommend looking in a mirror. I do recommend some other things you could try. One is oh wait, I think I'm cutting out here. Okay, I think I'm back. One trick is for them to compare themselves to something else. So I if there's somebody else that's really tall, they're like, "Wow, that person's a lot taller than I am." Well, that lets me know that they're shorter. You can also describe the way that they're interacting with the world. I had to reach up to the top shelf. That lets me know that they're shorter because of that. I had to duck into the car. That lets me, I had to adjust the seat back, things like that. You can also have them pick out items that naturally uh, items that will be flattering. So I picked out this color something to go with this color eyes I have. That would be a reason why somebody would think about that, right? The other thing, of course, is the other characters reacting to them. Oh, you finally did your hair for once. It looks really good. That lets me know that that person doesn't usually do their hair, right? Because the other characters are commenting. I didn't, they show up and it's like, are you really sure you're cut out for this sort of thing? Because of their demeanor. So the narrator cannot describe. Is there no narrator in deep point of view? No, that's not true. The narrator should be the same as the character is the point. The viewpoint character and the narrator are one and the same. There isn't a third person that is talking about everything. So it doesn't have to be written in first person, but if it is written in third person, it's like if I were talking in the third person. I could say, currently, Daniel is broadcasting on the internet. Daniel seems to be having a little bit of technical issues with his internet because it's running a little choppy, but he is certainly hoping that it'll work out. Um, it would be kind of like that. But what it wouldn't be is But what it wouldn't be is, Daniel is currently Daniel sat at his desk doing this internet stream. Meanwhile, in Washington D.C., Joe Blow, senator, is preparing his speech because I don't know what's going on specifically, right? And so that doesn't make sense. So yes, you can write in the third person, just like I can talk in the third person. But if I'm narrating my own in the third person, I'm only going to know what I know, if you see what I mean. So that's how it's in the third person. It still maintain the information that the character knows if you're writing a deep point of view. Keep in mind, a lot of people, when they write a limited third person, they're not writing a strict deep point of view, but what they're going to do is mostly be in on the character and occasionally pull out. And they'll sort of split the difference. Yes, if you're having any trouble with AutoCrit, there is a little button there on the bottom right, and you can hit that button and it'll bring up our tech team. I realized my mouth was open when the fly landed on my tongue. Yep. Or Daniel realized his mouth was open when the fly landed on his tongue, etc., etc. Right? That's fine. How is deep point of view different from regular first person? Well, technically, first person should always be written in a deep point of view, more or less. However, you can, in fact, narrate in a way that's a little bit different. So, a way that I would say it wouldn't be like that is if you were writing in first person, but you're writing from the perspective of the future in a way that you're commenting on the past. So, if you said, little did I know this was going to be the best day of my life. That's not exactly deep point of view because that you didn't know that when you wrote when you experienced that. And so you have dropped into narrator mode, like distant narrator commentary mode, right? And I'm not really experiencing it as you did in the moment. So that would be the biggest way that first person could pull back from that. Or maybe you did research, right? And so you could still write in first person. So you could be like, I was sitting at my desk. Meanwhile, my sister was mowing the lawn. And you're like, well, how did you know that? And it's like, oh, well, I interviewed her later in my life. Yeah, no. Um, no, you can't do that and maintain deep point of view. Yes, our tech team is great. Woohoo! And yes, Sean, Catherine do an amazing job. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me yet again. Again, please like, subscribe, hit the bell, and I will see you around here on this channel. Really looking forward to all of your entries in the Deep Point of View challenge and seeing you around AutoCrit. Bye, everybody. You have a wonderful day.